Today we're going to focus on multiplying and dividing by 10 as well as 100 and seeing how that impacts a number. Suppose we have a number like 351.2, and let's say we want to multiply this number by 10, and we could ask what's going to happen. Of course, we could use our calculator and get the answer, but there's also a nice trick when you multiply by 10, and that is you can simply move the decimal one digit to the right. So the answer will be 351, and instead of 0.2, just 3,512. So just move the decimal one to the right. And this works for any setup. Say 7.3 times 10 would turn to 73. Or if we had a number like 381.43, if we multiply it by 10, again, we just find that decimal and move it 1 to the right, and the number will become 381 and then 4.3. And this is the correct answer. If you're dividing by 10, what's really nice is you can actually just do the opposite. So let's do one where we're dividing by 10. I'll do that in blue here. Let's say you had 43.61. If you divide by 10, you actually just do it the opposite way. You move backwards. So the answer would be 4.361. Right? Now we're going to very quickly talk about what's happening. Why does this work? Why does this simple, eloquent trick actually give you the right answer? Here is why. So let's think of the number 0.1. The simplest way to think of 0.1 is, yes, it's 1 in the 10th position, but you can also think of it like a dime if you think of this in terms of money. So think of 0.1 as a dime. Do you guys know how many dimes are in a dollar? Hopefully you know it's exactly 10 dimes. So if you had 10 of them, you would actually make $1. As in, if you times by 10, which means to have 10 of these, that's the definition of multiplying by 10, this dime should become $1 because you'd have 10 dimes, so it would become $1. And look, that's the same answer as if you just moved it over. Let's look at another example. Let's think of 0.2. Well, 0.2 would be like having 2 dimes, right? Or 2 in the tens place. Now, if you times it by 10, that means you have 10 piles of 2 dimes. So think of this as 2 dimes, right? Times 10, you have 10 piles of these. 10 piles of 2 dimes. So you can actually see if you had 10 piles of 2 dimes, each pile would become $1, as in you would have $2. Oh, and look, that's the same as moving the decimal over there. You would also get 2. And the same would happen if you had 0.3 or anything else. And one of the really beautiful things is, let's say you had like even 0.01. This is like 1 in the hundreds. You can think of this as pennies. You know how many pennies are in a dime? Yeah, it's 10. So if you multiply this by 10, 0.01, 1 penny, well, if you have 10 pennies, it would become a dime. And if you move the decimal, let's do the decimal moving trick. So 10 pennies is equal to a dime. Hopefully we agree with that. And if you do the decimal moving trick, you'll also see it becomes 0.1. And guess what? It's also a dime. And this is true for all the numbers in the base 10 system. You know, $1, it takes 10 of those to get to $10, etc. But that's the idea. If you just want to do the math, all you have to do is move the decimal left and right. Depending if you're multiplying, move it to the right. If you're dividing, move it to the left. Good luck on all your multiplication and division.